welcome to another edition of Trade Talk TV. Today we've got Mike from Powerlinks in the office. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks Kevin.
Today we're going to talk about the native ad ecosystem for the traditional publisher. Obviously the traditional publisher uses traditional IAB ad units to monetize most of their advertising, but there's a whole plethora of native ad units out there that we want to talk about, and Mike's obviously going to go through it. But before we do that,
Yep.
Mike, tell us a bit about Powerlinks, what you guys do, who are you? And
Sure, so yeah, I'm Mike Harty, I'm the co-founder and COO of Powerlinks. We're a native platform consisting of an ad server. We're bolted on DSP, so we power real-time exchange for native ad formats. So I suppose it makes sense to kind of define what we mean by native here.
Yeah.
So first of all, our core formats, traditionally in text, in
Yeah.
image, so formats that concentrate on the content well within the actual engaged part of the zone of the page.
Okay.
And then more recently we've introduced more, I suppose, kind of pure play native formats in the form of in-feed and in-stream placements.
Okay. So let's just map this out on a traditional publisher webpage. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of talk about native, and I put that in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And it seems to be more a case of endemic ad units like the Twitter sponsored tweet or the newsfeed on Facebook. It just feels more and more like the content.
Yeah.
But from a traditional publisher view, what exactly does it look like? So let's just map out
Start
this.
with a page, yeah.
Yeah, let's start with a web page.
So it's a nice wide page
It's a
so we
big
can get our
page.
formats on. Yeah,
Yeah.
widescreen monitor, classic display stuff.
Yeah.
So you know, obviously we've got the top of the page. We'll just zone that off. So you've probably got your collection of logo,
Of course.
menu bars and the likes.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got a classic leaderboard here.
Yeah.
Then we've got perhaps the right hand side rail bar.
Yeah.
And then of course in here we've got the content of the page.
Okay.
So maybe kind of classic editorial play here, you might kind of lead with an image. And depending on the, yeah, and then obviously down here you've got your actual body content of the page.
Yeah.
And then down here you've maybe got, you know, the kind of right hand rail bar typical elements. Maybe we've got a 300 by 250 MPU in here. Let's put one of those in. Then here maybe we've got some you know, additional piece of content recommendations
Yeah.
coming in. And then maybe somewhere down here we've got a skyscraper. Heck, maybe down here we've got a leaderboard or more
Okay.
kind of display placements.
So, your
So you
traditional
know, here's your
IAB
traditional
is,
page.
Yeah.
So you're kind of monetizing with probably a bare minimum of 3 placements, and then classic kind of trifecta, I suppose, being the leaderboard, MPU, and then the skyscraper
Okay.
in a display space.
So where is the native stuff kind of, let's particularly what you were talking about in the in-text stuff, where
Yeah.
does it sit and how does it work then?
Okay, so obviously with the in-text play, you know, we're actually working here within the actual content of the page.
Yeah.
So we've got the native content on the page itself, obviously the editorial, we have no play in that. Powerlinks has one line of code that sits on the site. We've indexed it, we recognise the context of the keywords against about 1.5 billion unique keywords and keyword buckets in our system. We pick out relevant keywords to the actual page itself, but also to the end user looking at the page. So part of our 97-point algorithms looking at the full context of the page, analysing it very much like a search engine would do. So we're looking at all the kind of metadata on the page, the context of the page, inbound link architecture, kind of referring URLs, kind of traffic sources, all these kind of different data points that come in, and that's allowing us to, in real time, decision a keyword placement. So if it's a technology publisher, could be this article, let's just say it's talking about, you know, new iPhone coming out, then we've got campaigns that we can traffic against those keywords, and in text is actually going on in this zone here. In image is an overlay on the base of the image, a contextual placement. So, you know, if this is going back to our technology play, then, you know, we could be having an e-commerce unit coming in here making product.
So let's just say this is a big photograph. There's the sort of content around it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about an overlay image just here, basically, with a sort of the ability to
So full user control, yeah, naturally, kind of generally a thin bar that strips across the bottom of the image. That can then be an invitation ad for a wider kind of advertising experience.
Right.
That could be an engagement-led campaign. So all user-initiated, user mousing over and engaging with the creative overlay. and then launching a lightbox experience, or it could just be more of a kind of standard kind of display overlay, but with the contextual placement and the data play behind it.
And how big would the standard overlay be?
A lot of our creatives adaptive and responsive, so the big push here is analysing the size of the image and then kind of having creative and ad campaigns all flex to meet the width of that image. So that allows us to traffic that campaign in a device agnostic manner. So if you imagine this page is now shrunk down, it's a mobile page as opposed to a desktop page.
Right.
At that stage, maybe all of this kind of right hand rail bar is gone and the site's condensed down just to the content well. Then maybe the image is actually stretched to take on the full width of the mobile device, and that bar will just remain constant, taking on the width of the image in that instance.
Okay, and in terms of targeting, this is based on the contextual element of the page that this would be shown?
Yeah, so anchored on context, then opportunity to really enhance that with data plays, use the first and third party data, data segments, wider audience analysis to make it more personally relevant. But the unit is always anchored on the context of that web page.
And in terms of sort of the metrics for this particular ad unit, what are we talking here? Is it mostly CPC, or how does it work generally?
Generally traded on one of two models. So if it's more of a static overlay, it'll be maybe like repurposing of IAB creative 468, or even like leaderboards and gallery environments. That can be traded on CPM, so standard kind of graphical placement.
Yeah.
Can also be an invitation ad, as we're saying for a lightbox. At that stage, you're normally trading it on cost per engagement.
Lightbox, I mean, just like
yeah, that's right. So in that instance, the bar would probably have a 3, 2, 1 countdown in the corner.
Yeah.
And then so that could be fully branded for the campaign. So if it's a tennis campaign around the Wimbledon tournament, this could be a rotating tennis ball. You kind of get the drift in that sense. So then you've got the kind of bar here with the creative. User mouses over. You get a 3, 2, 1 countdown. Obviously, if the mouse away during that engagement event, and that stops the trigger. Yeah. But you get the 3, 2, 1, triggers the ad event, launch of the lightbox, and then that lightbox is built on that engagement model at that moment in time.
So is that's a branding sort of metric, basically?
Yeah, that's right. So within a lightbox unit, you've obviously got a huge amount of pixels to play with, if you like. So you've got everything from one of the 10 standard lightboxes in our UI, which are can be ad tag based, or load the raw assets, put a video in there, put social media in there, put product feeds in there, kind of anything you like can go into a lightbox unit. Okay. But then on top of that, you can get more custom, get more creative. So it might be that a car-based brand, for argument's sake, would want to have a 360-degree kind of rotating view of the car with like hotspots in there, and you can zoom in and get a closer look at the alloy wheels and have a real play with the car and the unit at that stage. So you can kind of go as far as you want to take it, but yeah, at that stage you've got a lot of kind of raw assets that go in there, and it's very effective for longer form video and that kind of stuff.
And in terms of monetization, is this a part of the inventory on the page that publishers really haven't really kind of like taken advantage of? To be honest, they obviously they're trying to monetize these high impact IAB units as much as they can, whether it's through direct sales or through programmatic. Yeah. But this part of the page, this part of the sort of additional advertising hasn't really hit home by publishers.
No, I don't think it has. And you look at the eye tracking software, and obviously I'm not reading into that. But when the user lands on the page, where are the eyeballs going? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're looking at this web page on a mobile device, a tablet, a desktop. You've arrived on this page to read this, the content. Not to take in all of this. And the user learned behaviour increasingly, particularly millennials. All the evidence is that actually this is almost invisible inventory on the right hand rail bar, because users just have trained themselves not to look at the right hand portion of the page. It's become something of a garbage dump over the years. But they are looking at this, and we've had instances, case studies, where we've had an image here with an image campaign with an MPU directly next to it. Now in terms of pixels away, you're kind of less than the width of an MPU away from each other, but you're seeing 15 times higher click-through rates on the image overlay. And it's purely down, because both units are viewable at that stage, so however you want to define viewable impressions, whether it's, I personally think it's a bit vague at the moment, it's not been defined well enough, but by whichever definition you're going on, both of those would be viewable placements. But there's viewability, and it's where the eyeballs are going. Yeah. Because you think about the human's ability to focus in on something. If you're focusing on something, you've got a pretty narrow depth of perception at that stage. You know, if you're really looking at this and taking in, I'm not seeing this at all, and it shows in the engagement.
Why is the click-through rate so high on the image stuff then? I'm just curious. What's the sort of is it sort of like contextual targeting? Is it sort of data targeting, or is it just because the image is part of the content experience?
I think the image is a hugely noticeable element on the web page. You know, you land on a page, you are going to take in the image, big image at the top of the page, eyeballs drawn to it.
Yeah.
You're going to see that ad creative.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to see that ad creative and it appeals to you and it's the right ad, right moment in time to the right person, all the very premise of advertising, then you've got every opportunity to get an engagement, and that could be a click, it could be a hover to engage to initiate a like box. It could be a click through to an e-commerce site, and we've tried to do. I mean, we've had campaigns that have been doing much more interesting stuff with it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got, if this is a football page, World Cup coming up, quite topical. Got a picture of Wayne Rooney in here. Hopefully, he's having a storming World Cup a few games in. Probably not, but
not likely.
But then we could be coming in, and this image could be then the image overlay could be looking at the odds for Wayne Rooney to score in the next game. You know, adaptive, you've got API-driven solutions, putting additional information, giving the user something a little bit more back.
Yeah.
Or another example, this could be a travel page, you could be putting in, could have got a picture of Barcelona here, enticing beach shot, and you've got the in-image ad using APIs to pull in the local weather, enticing an action, doing something a bit more interesting in that.
So, I mean, given the way the market is moving towards a more programmatic, automated way, are these ad units going to be able to be purchased through a programmatic fashion? Is that what you guys are looking to roll out?
Well, absolutely, yeah. So we believe for these units to be truly scalable and to work for the really big guys. So we know that these have been traded on more of an ad network model in the past.
Yeah, like Vibrance of the world.
Yeah, which has absolutely got its place. But for the big premium top tier publishers, the ones sitting right at the top of that Comscore list, we felt we had to take a platform-led approach.
Yeah.
Now what that means in reality is we provide an ad server, it's a unique one-of-a-kind ad server in the market, the only one, which allows the direct sales team to go in there and trade this inventory directly. So you've got the IO side of things, the direct sales team going and doing the people-to-people sales, winning those campaigns. For the first time, we're facilitating that.
So
now,
you're effectively empowering publishers. You're giving them
absolutely. This is a publisher empowerment tool.
Right.
We're going to publishers and we're talking about this is pure bottom line bolt-on revenue.
Okay.
Now it's bricks and mortar. We're providing the tools, the raw assets, and you could either go and build a mansion. You've got to put some work in. If you're going to use that ad server, you've got to go out there, take it to market. Whether you're positioning it as an extension of this, an extension of your graphical placement, or if you're going in there and kind of winning budgets that used to be going to the ad networks on the back of better transparency and high quality media and all those selling factors, whichever way you're going to do it, you aggressively take it to market with the ad server, then you're looking at really serious bolt-on revenue.
Yeah.
And we've got publisher case studies there who are adding kind of north of 25% to their bottom line digital revenues, which is obviously a really serious incremental uplift from doing this. But of course, no sales team is going to go out there and sell all this inventory, and there's a huge opportunity to trade it programmatically.
Right.
And that's where, bolted onto our ad server, we've got our DSP.
Yeah.
We've basically built out the full stack for these formats. So you've also got the SSP. Publisher goes in there, sets up their business rules. So everything from the colour and the placement, the links and the body content for in text, the amount of inventory they're going to make available, allowed bidders, whitelist, blacklist, floor prices, everything that you'd expect from an SSP. But then on the buy side, we've got on the unified platform, the buyers are coming in and they're able, through our bidder, again uniquely, to actually transact around this and not just run IAB placements, but go in there and trade light boxes in an RTB environment.
And in terms of sort of the appetite from the demand side, I mean, what are you seeing? Trading desks are keen to buy this inventory, or
we've been, in all honesty, pretty bowled over by the reaction from the buy side.
Right.
Because there seems to be a real appetite, particularly for kind of getting hold of brand budgets.
Okay.
To look at units that are going a little bit more than just 300 by 250 pixels or hidden down out of view on the bottom of the page with engagement metrics. We're given the opportunity to get longer form videos that are getting video view-through rates into the double-digit percentages. I'm talking like 4.5 minute, 5 minute long creatives here. Creatives so long that publishers are actually having a Google Analytics uplift on their time on site because of the engagement factor. that's strong. So there's real appetite for, you know, ITDs to really get hold of the bidder, ATDs to come in and buy this inventory and trade something a little bit different, get better performance on the backside of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got units, and you know, you can talk about click-through rates. That's exciting. You know, Intex has always had great click-through rates. Clicks are great, but what's coming on the other side of those clicks? And then we've got campaigns that have seen, with really precise targeting, really strong click-to-conversion rates. In some cases, well into the double figures.
And in terms of sort of the in-text stuff and the in-image stuff, are you looking at other sort of units, native solutions?
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So when you've got a tool, so our core IP, a big chunk of our core IP sits around our semantic understanding of the page.
Yeah.
So we're going in here and we've got this 1.5 billion keyword list, able to understand in real time, the second the publisher's putting this page live, exactly what it's talking about. It's talking about apples, we're talking about fruit or technology, depressions, weather, state of mind, all that kind of stuff, semantics and context. Now when you've got that power, of course, there's other placements that you can engage with and power on the page. And one that we're particularly interested in getting a lot of interest from the top Comscore publishers is our in-feed placements. So essentially an in-feed placement, you know, going back to this diagram, we talked about the idea here of additional piece of content being recommended by the publisher, these all being internal.
So like a Taboola or an Outbrain type thing, or?
Not quite. So where Taboola and Outbrain are generally taking the bottom page position, outbound clicks, you know, kind of as a revenue stream, really just another form of ad net. Really here the play is high quality advertorial style kind of content, but you know, definitely making it all look like it looks and behaves like the native placement it is on the site. So, you know, we're taking the header font, size, colour, CSS from the host site, making it all fit and belong on the page. User clicks on that, it will launch that content experience, which can include rich media, wider elements, but within the framework of the publisher's site. So you've got an opportunity there for big brands to come in and really make a splash. And it's bringing scale to that.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks for that overview of the native ad ecosystem, and thanks for going through sort of the opportunity for publishers. And hopefully we'll see you next time for the next product rollout. So thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
And that was Trader Talk TV. We'll see you next week.